Hey everyone, I'm SystemJet66. I got some great news, some really good news. Tsuyoshi Kanda, Resident Evil's producer, or he produces a lot of the games, the remakes, and 7, 8, stuff like that. He has said that a Resident Evil Code Veronica remake is not off the cards. If people want it, then we will bring them it, essentially is what he's saying. So yes, it is a bit weird that it's... it's coming after, it might be coming after Resident Evil 4 remake, definitely, but at the same time, it was like a side game, a side story, so it doesn't matter. The fact is that we might be getting it after Resident Evil 4 remake, and if that does well, and if it is as good as it looks from the trailers, then we can be in high spirits and have high hopes about a Code Veronica remake. Speaking to someone in my comment section the other day, and he made some great points about the original. There were points that I agreed with, and there were some points that I didn't agree with, and we had a great discussion about it. And he said I wouldn't be adverse to them making a Code Veronica remake and kind of bettering the original, and I would agree with him on that. The original is a classic in some of our hearts, definitely me, 100%. It's my mate's favourite Resident Evil game to date. He still hasn't played a Resident Evil since that he's enjoyed as much as Code Veronica. And it's definitely up there within the classic series for me. I can play the original of the first one, all the way through, including Code Veronica, to say like the Resident Evil remake of that original kind of series of games. So Resident Evil 1, director's cut, or the remake, whichever one I decide. I can then play RE2, the original, RE3, Nemesis, Code Veronica, and then play, like I said, if I want to play the remake, I can play the remake of the first Resident Evil. And if I choose to play those games in that order for that particular series of games, what I like to call the original quadrilogy, I guess you could call it. I see it as a quadrilogy because Code Veronica's in there, definitely. I'm perfectly happy. Like, I love Code Veronica. I love it. But I can see, why people don't like it as much as me or some other fans. And I get it. I totally get it. Having a remake for this game would do it a massive service, definitely. It's not something where, unlike Resident Evil 2, we were sort of nitpicking a little bit and going, well, the remake didn't have this, and this, and it changed this, and, some of the things it didn't do for the better, some of them it did do for the better, because of the technology and how things had progressed and moved on. It was great to see flesh being torn off of zombies and they're missing limbs and stuff like Dead Space and coming after you and crawling after you. All that stuff was incredible. Mr. X being this proper threat this time, as opposed to scripted. Showing up during scripted events. So I loved it. I loved the whole new sort of reveal for the liquor and things like that. It was great. I love the fact that they had more, G mutants in it, other than just it being this kind of stock boss battle. It's probably the worst boss battle, one of the worst ones in RE2. It's just a means to an end. It's to, dispose of in order so you can use the chess pieces to open the lock gate. But having said that, I'm not doing it a disservice. I still like the original G Mutant boss fight and stuff. But compared to the new G Mutants in the remake, they were so much better. The location in the sewers, everything was just, it was brilliant. Them coming out sewer tunnels and things like that and pipes. Wicked. Really well done. But, then again, the original Resident Evil 2 is still my favourite. It still beats the remake, So, I would say all the original games, I think, beat the remake in some ways. Because they're the originals. But I would say that the remake of 2 still done a good job. When it comes to Resident Evil 4, there's a lot of stuff I don't like about it, and there's a lot that I do love about it. The love outweighs the dislike, definitely, when it comes to RE4 original. But if they can better that, it's definitely a game that they can better. So when the remake of 4 comes out, even already it's looking better. Like, it just looks a lot more horror focused from the trailers and stuff. So if they can keep that same energy for the whole runtime, the whole playtime, thinking about films there, the whole playtime of the game, I'll be one happy Resident Evil fan. When it comes to Code Veronica, there's a lot that they can add to it to make it better, to make it a better experience. Definitely, it does sag a little bit in the middle parts of the game, but then again we do get Chris Redfield, so it's a little bit of give and take. But there is definitely an issue with pacing with that game. It goes on a little too long, although that's not necessarily a bad thing, but the pacing slows down. So if they can get the pacing better and still have it at the same length or slightly longer, maybe the same length, then I'll be very happy. The Steve boss fight, the thing that Steve turns into, it's kind of rubbish looking, let's be honest. So they could make that better, like better looking in the new one. Chris's whole like reveal is great in the original when we finally get to see him again, but I think it could be better than this one, definitely. They could add Barry into the mix. He could accompany Chris or something. There's loads of stuff that they could do. You know, flesh out Rodrigo a little bit better. I'm just trying to think of things. There's so many things that they could improve on, definitely, from the original. The boss fights could be a lot better. It's more... The boss fights in the original, I guess they're very similar to the old Resident Evil games and that style, but they are more of battles of attrition. Getting hit, making sure you've got enough herbs. The characters move very slow, which is a bit strange because in Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3, the originals, they always moved a lot faster than they did in Code Veronica. They do feel like they're in quicksand. They're very slow moving, very static, and you could pretty much just end up getting hit by whatever boss you were fighting. The end boss, like Alexia, you just got to take the punishment. There's too much going on at one time that you've just got to let Chris take the punishment, heal, and just keep blasting rounds into her. The Tyrant fight on the plane, we've all had this problem where we didn't have enough explosive arrows, you know, or enough explosive ammunition. Ended up running out and having to restart the whole game from the beginning. Some of us have had that problem. If they could do better with that boss fight, that'd be great. And also, like I said, sometimes you just can't outrun the Tyrant. You just got to get hit, take the hit, stay at the sort of front of the plane, and keep distance, you know, and then just fire the arrows at him or whatever, or shoot a couple of like grenades at him just to sort of lower his health. The whole setup of having to release the crate when his health is drained, so it knocks him out the back of the plane, great. Keep all that stuff, you know, just make it a little bit more snazzy, like add a little bit more into it, you know, make it more interesting to look at. That's going to come along with the remake of it, seeing that we have better technology now. But yeah, there's loads of things that they can improve on, definitely, like having Alfred sort of be more prominent in the game, definitely, along with Alexia. I don't know, sort of do that differently. And then we've got two of them facing off against Chris and Claire. Like, we didn't really get that face-off, really. So that would be interesting. Would it be a bit hokey and cliche? Maybe, but if it depends on how they do it. Depends on how they work it into the game. But all I want is an improved version of the original. Don't change things too drastically. Do not cut things out like you did with the Resident Evil 3 remake. I think the Resident Evil 4 remake is proving that they're not doing that again. So that's cool. It's been proven, by the way, that Krauser is in Resident Evil 4. He is in the remake of Resident Evil 4. He is seen during the intro, apparently, training with Leon. So he's in there. So all those leaks, all those months ago, the fact that I called bullshit on them, I wasn't wrong. A lot of people were saying, you know, it's bullshit. Like, these YouTubers are trying to get clout from just covering all these stupid leaks. And yes, they're right and I'm right. Like, it was just to get clout. So I would be careful with who you believe and the content that you watch. I am not going to say don't subscribe to these people, because some of their Resident Evil content is great. They really put their heart into it. But all this sort of like, all this kind of like leak content they keep sort of bringing out just to follow that trend of Resident Evil, to me it's just like, look, do you really love the series, or are you just trying to get clout? Like, is this just sort of chasing the tail? And it is, for a lot of them, it's chasing the tail. But still rock with them. They make some great content outside of that. It's just all this other content. It's like, dude, just make, just make the content that I've seen you make that's great, like, regarding Resident Evil. I guess I could say the same for myself. I'm talking about news regarding Resident Evil. I could just make another video based on sort of like my What Happened to Stars video, because it done very well and it was my own content put out there. But having said that, I'm not really talking any crap. I'm not actually chatting bullshit. This is me covering Resident Evil news and stuff that has been said by Tsuyoshi Kanda. So that's what I'm doing right here. Code Veronica Remake, I'm extremely excited for that. Definitely. Way more, in some ways, excited for that than the Resident Evil 4 remake. Even though we're getting the Resident Evil 4 remake and it looks incredible, I'm more excited at the prospect of playing an updated version of Code Veronica as opposed to RE4. Because like a lot of us said, RE4 didn't really need that update, did it really? Like, we could have all still played it for another 10 years before it had a remake, but it still looks incredible. So I'm quite excited to get my hands on it. But the Code Veronica remake, oh man, I'm excited for that, definitely. If they keep the same energy that they've kept with the Resident Evil 2 remake, what seems to be the same energy they're keeping with the Resident Evil 4 remake, some bits of the Resident Evil 3 remake, and they kind of keep that energy, and they develop a Code Veronica remake in the same way that they've done those, but just make it even better, just improve on what they've done previously, then we're in for a treat. They could really, really pull it off. So, what are your thoughts on a Code Veronica remake? It's clear that Tsuyoshi Kanda and his team are going to get this done because the fans want it, we all want it, it's going to happen. That's what he's saying. And with RE9 being the last of the mainline entry titles, apparently, and the fact that it might lean more into the psychological horror side of, you know, where the series is going, not where it's been, but where it's going with Shadows of Rose, things like that, then I think a Code Veronica remake would bring everything back down to where I want the series to stay, do you know what I mean, on that level, and a lot of us want the series to stay. So yeah, we'll have to see, but exciting times, definitely, and they'll get it done. We're going to get a Code Veronica remake, 100%, definitely, like that's clinched the deal for me, definitely. Like that's told me everything I need to know. Tsuyoshi Kanda's he's gonna get it done, 100%. So, and I don't think we'll have to wait super long either. Sales for RE4 remake are gonna skyrocket. They're gonna go through the roof. And just in terms of remade Resident Evil games, not even the fact that maybe some people don't know about Code Veronica, or it wasn't their favorite, or it's one of the entries in the series that they didn't really vibe with. That's not gonna matter because everybody's gonna want that classic, updated Resident Evil remake that they want to bring fans and bring us. So look, at this point everybody can say, but there's no fixed camera angles and tank controls, and they're still not like the old Resident Evils. I agree with you, I totally agree with you. I don't think we're ever going to get anything in terms of a remake that's as good as the first game's remake. All the people were aligned for that one. You've got to remember Shinji Mikami, you know, the team that worked on the original, all the parts came together. We don't have that anymore, and we're not going to get that anymore. I know it's sad to hear, but it's the truth. But what we can have is something that's akin to the Resident Evil 2 remake, something that tried its best, you know, to recreate that magic. And in some ways it succeeded, in others, yes, it didn't. But it was still a Resident Evil game that I enjoyed way more than any of the new stuff that they've brought out recently, more than the Revelations games, and I like the Revelations games for what they are. But RE2 remake did a good job, in my opinion. You know, it's my opinion, my own taste. You don't have to share the same taste or opinions as me, but I really like the Resident Evil 2 remake. RE3 remake, compared to it, it was a cheap cash grab. Essentially, that's what it was. That's what it felt like. But there's still a little bit of love that went into it, definitely. There were still some parts that I really did like. Go and watch my review of that to find out what I liked and didn't. But yeah, the RE4 remake looks like they're putting a lot of love and care into it, just like they did with the RE2 remake. So I'm excited for Code Veronica, definitely. A remake of Code Veronica, getting to replay that game, and that entry in the series, but just updated. I'm all for it. Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section down below. If you like the video, smash that like button for me. It helps me get seen. Subscribe to the channel if you like me as a content creator and a Resident Evil content creator as well. And all that's left to say is catch you again in the next vid. Take it easy. Peace.